Good morning. My name is Jesus Gomez.
And I'm Judith Gomez. And we are parishioners of St. Joseph and proud parents of 3 children, Jesus Jr., Jose Manuel, and Priscilla Guadalupe.
We'd like to thank Father Lazzaroni for his invitation to share an important message with you. Just this past 21st of October, we celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary.
We were both born and raised in Toluca, Mexico, very close to Mexico City.
In October 21st, 1994, we got married at the parish of Our Lady of Mercy, Nuestra Señora de la Merced, in Toluca, Mexico. God permitting, we will renew our vows there this December.
In 1995, Jesus Jr. came to our little family.
Although we had humble beginnings, the salary of a starting engineer provided enough for the 3 of us. Going to the grocery store every other week was a joy and an adventure. Our most expensive buy was always the diapers for our baby.
We were surrounded by family all the time. Since Jesus Jr. was the first grandchild to both families. Jesus' job provided us the opportunity and the blessing to move to the United States.
So in July 1997, the company moved our little family to Portland, Oregon, more specifically, Vancouver, Washington. For me, it was, let's say, a little bit unusual because I spent the day at work. For Judith and Jesus Jr., the transition was not simple. A new language, no family, and since we only had 1 car, little chance to go places during the day. But we had one thing, our faith.
Jesus' job. On September 1997, we bought our very first home in Vancouver. Although the house had lots of empty spaces, it was filled with love.
We have fond memories of our humble beginnings. Our TV room, for example, had no furniture. A TV sitting on the floor with ear antennas was all that was there. The 3 of us used to sit down on the floor to eat hot dogs and drink Sunny Delight while watching a famous children's show of a singing dinosaur. Very basic, but seeing little Jesus so happy was more than enough to fill our hearts.
Jose Manuel came to our family in September 1999. We named him after our patron saint and baptized him right here in our own very church of St. Joseph.
A few years later, we learned that Judith was expecting again. Our prayers to Our Lady of Guadalupe for a baby girl were answered. And in November 2003, Priscilla Guadalupe came to complete our family.
Our small family grew strong through the years. Our Catholic faith has been the constant in our lives. All 3 of children, we were blessed by having access to outstanding Catholic education.
In Mexico, we have a saying. Every child comes with a sandwich under his or her arm. This is a metaphor, of course, to encourage us to do our part and trust God's providence. Such has definitely been the case for our family. We give thanks to God every day because we have always had bread on the table and more than enough to raise our children.
In terms of time and talent, for our family, sharing the gifts we receive from God has been an important and joyful aspect of our lives. The more that we get involved in our parish and faith, the more blessings we receive individually and as a family.
Throughout the years, we have volunteered as Eucharistic ministers, lector. We have taken active roles as coaches for CYO for over 10 years. I'm a Knight of Columbus. Judith takes part in the multicultural group and pastoral council here at St. Joseph. All 3 of our children have served as altar servers, lifeguards for CYO, and have taken part in the church choir, among other ministries.
At the beginning, we did not know where we would find the time to do anything more. Seemed like work and school was plenty already. The truth it was, as soon we started to take an active role, we began planning our time better, and working together on these ministries brought us even closer to our family and our faith.
In terms of treasure, setting a portion of our income aside for our future is something we have done for a while as part of our financing planning. Just like saving for our retirement, contributing to our stewardship of treasure is part of the distribution of the Gomez's family income. It's our way to say thanks be to God. It's our opportunity to express joy in having received and being able to give. To quote Mother Teresa, we ourselves feel that what we're doing is just a drop in the ocean, but the ocean will be less because of that missing drop. We believe our contribution matters. We know that as a whole we make a difference. If you're in a position, please join us with your stewardship of treasure. Our parish is not the same without you. If possible, take active part in your planning and set aside some of your treasure. Both in the sharing of our God-given talent and the treasure in the atmosphere of Thanksgiving, we believe we take part in the lifelong process of turning towards God. We thank you for your time, and may God bless you.
Jesus and Judith, thank you very much for your sharing. That sense that Mother Teresa, Saint Mother Teresa, that beautiful quote about just one drop in the ocean, it might seem like. Your particular contribution, what difference can that make? Well, it makes a huge difference, because without it, we're less than who we could be. I was particularly struck by your comment that to be committed to doing your part and then trusting God's providence. And then that sense that I think for all of us on this lifelong process of moving more and more towards the Lord, setting aside a portion of our income for our parish is a way not to reward good behavior, something that you like that's going on here, or protesting something that you don't like by withholding your money, but really as a way to make a return to the Lord in thanks for all that God has given us. And so I ask you to prayerfully consider what you can give back to the Lord in thanks. You will be receiving a letter from me in the mail this week with a pledge card. I ask your prayerful discernment as individuals and as a family. I would ask, if you're a parishioner and you've never pledged before, to consider making a pledge. It helps us in our planning, but more importantly, it says you're all in. Yes, in time and talent and treasure. And we really can't be all in if we're not giving a portion of the financial resources that the Lord has entrusted to us, if we're not giving back to the Lord. If you're one of those people who's never given before, who's never pledged before, and you're looking for some guidelines, what about $1 a day for the next year, $30 a month? That would be a wonderful start if you've never pledged before. If you are a regular pledger that you give regularly, as I mentioned in my letter in the bulletin last week with the annual report, our income has become unsustainably flat, growing at less than 1% over the last 3 years on the average. That's just not sustainable for a parish our size that has so many vital ministries. And so I ask your prayerful consideration that if you're in a position to be able to increase your pledge by 10% this year, so if you're giving $100 a month, can you afford can you not afford to give $110 a month? And the reason I say can you not afford, it's that sense of that ongoing conversion that Jesus and Judith were talking about, to turning towards the Lord. Well, part of that turning is a willingness to give in thanks for all that the Lord has given us, and to give in a way that isn't the last fruits, but the first fruits. That is, to begin your monthly budget by setting aside a portion. The church's goal is 10%, 5% to the parish, 5% to other parishes. If everyone in this parish were able to embrace that as stewardship, as a way of life, you would never hear me talk about money again. You wouldn't. And we laugh at that. But why do we laugh? Because that's what the Lord calls us to. And if we're not all in there, why should the Lord be all in with us? Why should he? The truth is, he is. And he's going to show his merciful love to us no matter how much we make a return to him in thanks. Given that, why shouldn't we move towards 5% to the parish and 5% to other charities? We cannot sustain our ministries here at St. Joseph with less than 1% growth over a 3-year period. It's not possible. And so I really ask for your prayerful consideration. I will keep you in my prayers this week as you begin that discernment process about what you can do to make a return to the Lord in thanks. Given the wonderful response to Stewardship of Talent last month, and now this need for us to really step up so that we can fund all of those ministries that you've committed to, I don't think it's overly dramatic to say that this is the most important stewardship of treasure renewal that we have done in my 11 years here. And so I ask you to really prayerfully consider increasing your gift significantly this year. 10% I would ask as a minimum increase. I'm going to prayerfully consider what I can increase my gift to, and this isn't to be boastful, but just to help you. I'm going to certainly increase it by more than 10%. Because that's going to help make up for those people in our community who are simply not able, because of their financial situation, to increase their gift. So again, I ask your prayerful consideration over these coming days. As we turn to the altar now, may the Lord strengthen all of us through this Eucharist that we share. Strengthen all of us to come here with grateful hearts, and then desire to make a return to the Lord in thanks for all that God has given us, especially his Son Jesus, who calls us now to this altar.